All right. Welcome. I'm James Oliver Jr., managing partner of Kabila Ventures, a new venture capital firm coming soon. Stay tuned. Cannot wait to reveal more when I'm able to do so. I'm CEO of Kabila, which connects overlooked founders to capital, co-founders, and community. And I'm husband to an amazing wife and co-founder of the world's cutest twins. If you're out there listening to the sound of my voice on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, just drop in the comments and please tell us where you're coming in from. And please share this on your social media feeds, your channels, so that you can invite your friends to join this important conversation, especially if you have friends building in the clean tech or climate tech space. This is for them. So if well, sorry. We're going to have a conversation today with my new friend, Miguel Granier. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Miguel, Managing Director of the Cox Cleantech Accelerator Powered by gener8tor. Welcome, Miguel. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going? And actually,
Going?
you did say my name perfectly, and that is an accomplishment because it's not easy. I know.
Well, I had French in like ninth and 10th grade or something like that. So it's
Yeah, I
Granier,
think the
right?
Spanish and the French sort of combination throws people off sometimes.
Yeah, that is a little confusing. I do admit that. But I know it's Granier. It's not Granier, or it could never be that, right?
I'll take anything. It doesn't matter for me. I'm
Hilarious.
not easily offended.
All right. Well, welcome, Miguel, and welcome to Atlanta. So we spoke for the first time a few weeks ago. So I knew you would come in because Anastasia Simon's a good friend of mine, and she was like, "Oh man, Miguel's amazing." And she was like, after I talked to you, we had a 30-minute call. Like the first 10 minutes, I was like, Lord Jesus, this guy is a breath of fresh air for the Atlanta startup ecosystem. Oh, by the way, you like my shirt or not?
I love it. I know you're supporting brand. You're showing me up.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you know this, bro, but I'm gener8tor OG. Did you know that?
I know. It's amazing.
I was in, I think, which was what was the second gener8tor cohort in Madison in the winter of 2013.
Yeah, and that's a cool thing about generators. Generally, is that the generator came out of not out of Silicon Valley, out of New York or
Yeah.
Boston, but it came out of the Heartland, it came out of Madison. It's kind of something that a lot of people don't recognize, but that's a big piece of the mission for Generator is to go find these sort of underrepresented environments and to create startups out of that. Give them, showcase them, give them the platform, give them the recognition that they need so they can attract more capital. And that's
Yeah.
what we're trying to do in Atlanta, and that's a huge part of why we started the Cox Cleantech Accelerator and why Generator was the partner, sort of the perfect partner to fit in with that one.
Oh, so that might, I think you stole my thunder for my first question, which was why did you start the accelerator? Is that a different answer or a similar answer?
No, I mean I can give you like a little bit more context for it. I mean, the big thing is there's been a group of people working behind the scenes in a big way to catalyze more clean tech innovation in Atlanta, and it's recognition that we have all the components here. From the incredible engineering at places like Georgia Tech and UGA and Kennesaw State and GSU, but to also the incredible ecosystem that we have from corporate venture capital, corporate investments, M&A operations, all the footprint for manufacturing. And if you know this, I mean, a lot of people know this already, but the state of Georgia has received more money for clean tech manufacturing out of the Biden administration than any other state in the country. And that's a big deal. It means that we have a lot of the components. You have the people, the talent, the capacity to go and create a lot more clean tech innovation. What we haven't
Amazing.
had is the investment dollars. And
Right.
so a big piece of this was, Cox, an incredible Cox Enterprise, an incredible Atlanta-based, firm came in, a family-owned operation came and said, we want to catalyze this ecosystem, make sure that we get enough money to get more founders, to get more startups out of Atlanta, and also just to create that flywheel of saying if we attract and build startups here that stay here and grow here, then we'll have more startups and more capital coming to the city across the board, right? And clean tech is the sector that we're
Yeah.
focused on, but recognizing that if the rising tide lifts all ships, and there'll be a lot of other industries that benefit from just additional attention coming to the market from investors and partners.
Awesome. So what's your background, Miguel? Because I know we talked a little bit about that on the phone. I thought it was like so cool. That really makes you uniquely qualified to do this work. Can you share that with our listeners?
Yeah, I mean, sort of oddly, I think I came to venture capital in part because I started out as a lender, but I also I was an urban planner, and I was really focused on sort of the systemic issues of entrepreneurship, and how do we spread that out? How do we get more people involved in entrepreneurship, and particularly on the technology side? And then from there, I ended up working in a family office and was able to launch one of the very early impact investment funds that focused on not just investing in credible startups, but investing in credible startups where they weren't before, where they didn't have that tradition, where money wasn't going, because we had, a pool of capital that was willing to go do that. Leaving the family office in about 2009 or so, I moved up to Boston, and in Boston, I actually started my own investment company called Investa Development. And we raised our first fund in 2011. That was a fund focus on tech startups. Clean tech was a piece of that, definitely. Distributed energy was a part of that. And we did investments across 8 countries, and including mostly in emerging markets, so sub-Saharan Africa, South Asia, and a bit in Latin America, but some in the US as well. And from there, we built a series of other funds. 2019, I came back and sort of wanted to look around and say, what is next and what should I focus on? Clean tech was definitely it. I'd relocated back to Atlanta, and I saw the ecosystem here, and I said, this is the perfect place.
Wait, you've been here since 2019?
Innovations, 2019.
How is it I'm just meeting you? I don't understand.
Yeah.
I'm so confused.
Well, COVID was a big disruptor. It sort
Yeah.
of sent us all into our little holes.
Mhm.
And I think actually one of the problems with COVID that actually we don't talk enough about is just that it did sort of strengthen this small pockets, these little hubs of people that we have, and that just creates additional separation, because we were sort of forced into shrinking our networking. I think we got caught into even smaller pockets, and now that we're doing something like the accelerator, a big piece of what I'm doing is just reaching out to everybody and saying, hey, come on, let's bridge these gaps. Let's bring more people into the TP. Let's do it.
100%. Yeah, which is why I'm so delighted to talk with you. So you made a comment earlier that Georgia got so much money from the Biden administration. Like, how are you anticipating the election changing, funds available for clean tech in Georgia,
Yeah,
if
that's
at
a
all?
great question. The truth is not a whole lot on the short term. The Biden administration with the BIL, the bipartisan infrastructure legislation, and then the Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA, were sort of the two of the big ones that funded a lot of the incentives for that clean tech manufacturing that has come to Georgia. Good thing is, one, most of that went to red states, so we already have support within the legislation that's going to protect that. Two, they actually did a pretty smart job of creating the policy and shipping the money out the door, putting it into third parties' hands already. The tax incentives are a bit at risk, and in theory, I think, and that's something that they could
at a federal level, not necessarily at the state level, though, right?
And over the long term. In the short term, they're just not going to really make any changes. And there's already that lot of money here. GFA here in the state, the Georgia Environmental Finance Authority, they have an incredible amount of money for rebates, tax rebates that go out, and those programs are already funded. They have that capital, and they're pushing that out, and that's to do things like household and commercial residential energy efficiency, and even solar. There's programs like Solar for All in Georgia as well that will put a lot more rooftop solar in the hands of people who need it. So there's plenty of that money that's out there. Tax benefits for corporations tend to not get scaled back once they're out there.
Awesome. Okay, so cool. So let's talk about the program. How long is the program?
So the program it's a 12-week program, fairly sort of traditional in the gener8tor format, in that we're going to do 12 weeks. When you start, we kick off the program. We bring in a lot of mentorship. It's not a formal curricula. We're not going to go out and do sort of the classroom learning. We expect a lot of the startups to already be at that level. But what we do is bring in a lot of mentors to make sure that you're getting access to people, the advice that you need. And one of the things we think about is that there's advantage to sort of getting a lot of different opinions and perspectives up front. And then we start to narrow it down and focus on the one-on-ones, connecting you with the really high value mentors that you've responded with. So you have those over the course of the 12-week program. In the middle and around the edges, I also focus a lot on commercial. So one of the things that we're really, really key on is, can we bring corporate buyers to startups at as early a possible stage as we can get them? And we realize that corporates are hyperscalers for startups, especially in our ecosystem. So that's an advantage of something that we can lean into in Atlanta, because we have this incredible we have 33 Fortune 1000 companies. We have 300 plus headquarters of global companies in Atlanta or in the Atlanta
Amazing.
metro area, right?
Yeah.
That's incredible. So lean into that. So we're going to go and say, these are hyperscalers for startups. If you can get a contract or a commercial agreement with one of those companies, you're going to be able to raise capital because you're validated and everyone sees that you've got market traction. So that's going to make it a lot easier for us to go. And on the back end of those 12 weeks is really we're going to focus on that. Okay, how do we make sure we get those commercial contracts? And then also how do we go out and help you raise capital?
I mean,
And the
that's
contracts
amazing.
don't have to be this at scale, massive $200 million contract. It
Yeah.
could be as simple as, hey, you got a pilot, because that
Yeah.
pilot is validation to the
Right.
investors that are looking at your technology.
Are those pilots typically paid?
It depends, right? I mean, I think it depends on the type of company. So in a lot of times, companies are willing to just go out there, the startups are willing to just go out there and give it free.
Yeah.
Because in particular, let's say if you're in a regulated environment like energy often is, a lot of times you need to go and sort of test that in a small area that's controlled, because you can't access the full market because of those steep regulations. In
Got it.
those cases, it's worth it to go partner with somebody like a
Of
utility
course.
or a cooperative and go and say, hey, look, we'll work with you. We don't need you to pay us. We just need to go
Yeah.
and get this validation in this test bed.
And the validation is huge because when you talk with investors, that makes a big difference. What's the difference
Yeah.
between clean tech and climate tech?
So that's a great question, and honestly, I don't have a great answer. I mean, when we look at clean tech, and I think we're approaching it very broadly. I would say that clean tech, climate tech, and sustainability tech, they're all generally going to be interesting to us. Like we're going to look at all of those across the board because the problem is really the same, and you can kind of measure it. And we have a system right now that's built very, very much on burning fossil fuels in order to generate significant amounts of the product we do, and
Mhm.
also to handle the waste that we generate because of our consumer nature. And so for us, I don't look at it and say, hey, what we need to do is spend less money, build less. That actually I don't think is progress that we need. What we need to do is we need to do those things better. And we need to
Mhm.
do them more responsible, and we need to look at the full cycle of any product or any service that we offer. So when we look at clean tech, it's really sort of all of those components of our production, our distribution, and our consumption of products and services. And can
Okay.
you make those less carbon intensive? And can you make those more sustainable? That's really our broad focus. And
Okay.
it's tech, because in the end of the day, we're trying to scale technology entrepreneurship, trying to scale companies that will build and feature technology products that can scale very rapidly. That's an important part.
So this is a maybe confusing question, but I think you might get it though. What types of startups are you looking for?
So all of us, I mean, again, leaning into what it matters in Atlanta, we can help companies, we can help startups that really need to scale on the rails of larger companies, and that's something that I think we can do pretty well. So when you think of this as clean tech, as maybe at the enterprise scale, or B2B more focused slightly than B2C. Not that there's not B2C opportunities in there, but it's even usually reaching those customers is going to go through one of those corporate rails. So we do look at that component. Startups from the earliest stage, we are with our cohort of 5 companies in each cohort. We'll do 2 cohorts a year. With those 5 companies, we'll have some that are very, very advanced, but not commercial at all yet. In other words, the technology is ready by and large, but they haven't gone out and found a customer yet. So that's going to be sort of at that early stage. And then in the later stage, we've got companies that honestly already have customer. They've already sort of reached out into the market, but they probably haven't reached the scaling customer, the hyperscalers in
Mhm.
that corporate side that they're really after. And they want to sort of reach out to more of those. They also, and I would say in particular with our local startups, we have companies that are generating revenue, have incredible partners, but they haven't been able to go out there and attract those investors, those sort of marquee investors that they would like to bring into the round. And so that's something that we can go do, help them do, right? Is we can promote that startup and go and reach out to our broad network of investors and bring them in. So within
Yeah.
a cohort of 5, we're gonna have that span of early, no revenue yet, but product is ready to hit
Yeah.
market,
But okay. Hey,
to
hey, Nita.
companies that are already commercial and
Okay.
and, and generating revenue.
Hey, Nita Pen. Thanks for the comment there. But nobody's coming in with just like a back of the napkin idea. It sounds like
No,
not like
not
a
at this stage. I mean,
traditional
for the main
accelerator.
reason we again we it's we want to showcase that we can build companies that are commercially viable,
Yeah.
because that's what we need in the ecosystem. It's not that we don't have a mind on creating a lot more of those back of the napkin kind of startups, because
Yeah.
obviously we do, but you have to think about it in stages. And the first thing right now, what we need to do is we need to build successful companies in a hurry, because the faster we can build those successful companies, the more startups we're gonna create, because there's more money in the market, there's more success. And if those companies build out and then employees leave those companies to go do their own
Or
startups,
they
we
exit,
kind of
right?
all know how that flywheel sort of works when
100%.
we do it at scale.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see more of that in the Atlanta ecosystem. Companies having successful exits. Creating new angels, new VC firms, et cetera. I feel like we need a lot more of that in
Well, and the big
Atlanta.
thing is we got to keep them here. And so we've done a lot of the very early bits of getting startups sort of out the door, incredible innovation that starts here. But a lot of the great ones leave because they have to go and raise money.
Yeah,
And they're just not finding the money here. What we're
yeah,
looking at is saying, if we can get you to come, if we can get you to stay here, because we can get commercial deals for you pretty early, then we can go and raise that money, because money will travel if it has a good reason to. Money will come
yeah,
out of the Valley, come out of New York, come out of all the regions of the country. If what you can show is there's a reason for us to be in the Atlanta area or in the Southeast, because
yeah.
that's where our customers are. If we can show them that, the money will come here, no doubt.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, at the top, I mentioned I'm launching Kabila Ventures, but we're pre-seed, right? So we need more Series C, Series A, and beyond money in this area as well. You did say that the money will travel, but it will be good if we had a nice hub of that as well here in Atlanta. So Nita wants to know how often will you be running the programs? I think you said twice a year, yes?
Twice a year, yep. So we'll kick off our first cohort. We're taking applications right now
Mhm.
through November
Mhm.
17th. So that's a Sunday evening. You got till midnight, November 17th to get the applications
Okay,
in.
through Sunday. Perfect. That was one of my
Yeah.
questions. So what is the amount of the investment in the terms?
Yeah. So this is the greatest thing about this. It's $100,000, but it's either a safe note, uncapped, or it just goes into your existing round. So this friendly capital as you're going to get from an accelerator. And considering the value that we're bringing, the only way that can happen is because Cox is being very generous as a sponsor of this program.
That's
These are really,
amazing.
really, really
That's
friendly.
very different from the typical generator, convertible
Absolutely.
note, like a $2 or $3 million cap or whatever that is. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
well, that makes
In most
sense, right?
cases, you're going to give up 5 to 10%, somewhere between 5 to 10% for a
Yeah,
$100,000 investment in accelerator, and that's really, really common.
yeah,
Because Cox really wanted to be able to go and say, let's accelerate this faster. And actually, all of us, we want to let's get this faster. This allows us to
mhm,
grab companies that are a little further down, so we can stage those cohorts. And I think there's a nice advantage to those early companies that haven't gone commercial yet, being in a cohort with companies that already have commercial contracts,
it's
validating
incredible.
revenue, learning from each other. And that floating terms of the safe agreement, uncapped safe agreement, or just into your next round, those floating terms enable us to build a cohort like that.
That's incredible. I did not know that. I think that's super super awesome. Um, yeah, weird question. Do you accept solo founders?
We do. I mean, there's absolutely no limit on that. I mean, again, if a solo founder can get the product to where we look at it and say, you know what, within a year span or less, you're going to have something that we can pilot. It is at that stage, then absolutely. And what I would say is, if you're going to come in, take that $100,000. Let's map out a plan for you to build a team around you, because no one should stay a solo founder or for very long. You should bring in partners. You need to share the burden. Doing a startup is the hardest thing any of you are going to take on. You got to make sure that you have great partners to share that burden with. So I encourage everybody to eventually partner up. But if you're solo at the moment you're applying, it's not going to knock you at all.
Oh, perfect. So, hey, Cherie, she wants information to share with her community. So Cherie, here's a no, sorry, not that one. Here we go. You can share this link, gener8tor.com/investment accelerators/Cox/Cleantech. Cherie, you can share that. That website has information about the program. I think that would get you what you need, Cherie.
It's got the program information as well as a link to the application. The application's simple. It doesn't take a whole lot of time. If you got a pitch deck that you can upload, you're going to answer a series of questions. But I haven't heard any complaints from the applicants that we've had so far in terms of it being difficult in any way.
Cool. And as you mentioned, applications close on Sunday.
Sunday evening, yep.
What can founders do to submit a great application?
Really, I mean, it's a pretty simple application, and having a good pitch deck that you've already prepared, that you're sort of ready, cover all the points. What I always say is it's what, why, how, who, and how much. Make sure you hit those things on your
How much being
pitch
how
deck.
much you're raising or how much you
Yeah,
can
how
make.
much you're raising, exactly. So what is it that you're doing? How, what, why are you doing it? What's the market? What's the problem you're solving? How's it going to do it? How are you going to get into that market? What's your what is your production or distribution? All of those components. The who, what's your team? The how much is how much money you're needing to raise or to build that, to reach
Yeah.
that market. And then the what was the last one? I said what, why now?
Who, what, how, and
But
how
cover
much.
those, yeah, and I mean cover those, cover the what, why, how, who, how much. Cover that in a PowerPoint. If you have that already, then you'll be able to fill out that application.
So who's making the decisions? I mean, obviously you're one of the decision makers. Is there who else is on the committee making decisions about who gets in?
Yeah, so we have a small team. That's the Cox Cleantech Accelerator team, and we'll do the initial calling, just making sure that all the ones that we apply are a good fit for the program based on that, the general condition that we're looking at. Are they clean tech, that kind of thing. But is it a viable business already? That kind of thing. Once we get to that one, then we send out a brief interview that's asynchronous that you get to do on your own, but you're responding to questions and you're recording live answers. That one we have support from Cox as well as gener8tor team in order for us to review all those, and from there we'll cull it down to the top 20 or so entrepreneurs. Those 20 will do in-person, virtual, but not asynchronous, not in person, sorry, virtual, but not asynchronous interviews with a selection committee that consists of folks from Cox, from the community, from the Georgia Clean Tech Innovation Hub, from gener8tor and the Cox Cleantech Accelerator.
Yeah. So you didn't mention this, but I suspect this is true for you as well. And if it's not, please let me know. But I do these things all the time, and I tell founders all the time because I have my own founder community. Investors invest in lines, not dots. And in most cases, this is a new program here in Atlanta, but in many cases, they've been doing this for years. So they already have like this funnel of founders that they already know, like, and trust, that have been keeping them updated on their progress for the last several years. And like, they're like, all right, they're ready. But this case is different, but still, like, Miguel's human. I guess this is the part where you can tell me if I'm wrong here, Miguel. But like, he has to get to know you. Hannah, I don't know if Hannah's Hannah, if you're out there listening, could you just drop in the comments that you're here? Hannah is working directly with Miguel, but investors invested lines, not dots. So, if you're watching this, go connect with Miguel. Miguel, is it okay if people connect with you on LinkedIn?
Absolutely.
So
And
here
if
is
you
on
go to
LinkedIn.
the website, also you'll see my contact information as well. If you
Right. Can you connect you by email? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
All right. So here's your email. I put it up there.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if that was going to be okay.
No, of course
But
it's on the website. I mean, we're reaching out to everyone. We're trying to build community here, so that's a big piece of
yeah,
what we're
but what I'm trying to speak to here is trying to instruct people how to move to build social capital, how to create lines out of dots. So if you send him a LinkedIn connection request, don't just send the connection request because he probably gets 100 of those a day. Send a personalized note. Hey, Miguel, I saw you on the chat with, the LinkedIn Live with James. Really appreciated this thing you said here. I'm building in clean tech. Please connect with me. So 99.9% chance he'll accept that connection request. Yes or no?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it. And then from there, now you can engage with him. You can follow. You can engage with his content. Just how to organically build these relationships so that when he sees your application, he's going to be, okay, I know this person. He's looking at it a little bit differently. That doesn't mean you're going to get in, but it's helpful. And if it's only 5 slots and you're probably going to get hundreds of applications, I'm guessing.
Hundreds. Yep.
Hundreds of applications. He's got to pick 5. And Miguel's, again, is human. He doesn't have to work with anybody he doesn't like.
No, I mean that is absolutely true, and I do find it interesting. Here I'll say I'll give you one pet peeve of something to not do.
Oh, please. Thank
Whenever
you.
you're talking to investors, and remember, this is an investment accelerator. We're putting $100,000 capital. We're taking a piece of ownership of your company. Like, that is a traditional investor as they get, just like any seed investor, any startup, Series A, Series B. It doesn't really make a difference. So in a lot of ways, we approach it very similar. Now, we have a double mission. We really want to catalyze the ecosystem. So if we have a great startup that we know is going to build an incredible company in Atlanta, and we have a great startup that's probably going to go be a rock star in San Francisco, we're going to pick the Atlanta one for sure. Like, that's what we want to do. So we have this extra mission. We're going to lean into that. But on the other fronts, we're still an investment accelerator. We're still looking for the best startups that we can invest in. And the one thing I would say is my pet peeve, and it's been my pet peeve for 20 years of doing investments, is when I talk to an entrepreneur and they tell me how suspicious they are of investors, or that they don't like us because we always are saying no, or that, that we never understand the entrepreneur. The truth is, many of us, like me, have started our own companies. We've gone out and raised money. We've gotten $1 million. I spent 2 years raising my first fund, got $1 million slammed in my face, burnt through a lot of my own money, all of that kind of stuff. We've done this stuff, and we know how hard it is. But if I went into anybody and I just said, you know what, I hate podcasters, like, why would you invite me on your show?
Yeah,
that's just silly.
it
So
is silly.
Go in there and think about it and say, what's the business model of that accelerator, of that investor? What are they doing? Let me understand what they're doing, so that when I go and meet with them, I can put my best foot forward and say, I know what you're doing. I know what you're looking for. And let me tell you why you're looking for me. And let me
100%. And it still might be a no, but you listen, you have to have enough productive activity, enough productive balls in the air. There's going to be a lot of no's. And if you're getting your feelings about that, like, maybe this just ain't for you. I mean,
that's right.
I say that as a 3-time founder and as somebody who's launching a VC firm right now, because if somebody comes to me like that when I launch my fund, I'm not going to take their emails or text messages or phone calls or anything, and it will be a wrap. So Nita wants to know, Nita, what's the time commitment for the cohort?
So the cohort, we don't have like a set curriculum, and we understand that everybody's going to be a startup, so that everyone's got to be running a business. And so it's not like every day you have to come in and spend 8 hours a day. We're going to have some kind of programming almost every single day over that cohort, over that 12-week period. But it's fairly minimal. It's meetings, one-on-ones, mentor swarms, accelerator swarms. It's things that we can, and we will schedule it all in advance to make sure that you can work your business around it. So we do want our cohort in-house for those 12 weeks. We have an incredible space up at the 9th floor of Ponce City Market. It's an incredible place to work.
Ponce City Market is dope, by the way.
Great. We have conference rooms. We have a great place for you to have your meetings. Yeah. We hope that you leverage that space in order to accelerate the growth of your company by using it for outreach and meetings and connections. But we're going to throw some things at you almost every single day, but it's not any kind of full day schedule. You'll have plenty of time to continue to build your company around what is a hands-on but fairly minimal schedule.
Yeah. So if you just go to gener8tor.com, Miguel, I assume you could just go look at the programs. You can get right to your program from there, I'm guessing.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So Cherie's asking this question, but yeah, if you just go to, it looks like you found it. That looks like the link that I was floating on the banner there, Cherie. So like, what advice do you have for founders raising in this environment? I think we sort of touched on it a little bit, but this is a bit of a unique situation. Final question, because we got a minute here. Like, what's your thoughts here?
Really understand your market. So clean tech in particular, it tends to be either regulated or regulation adjacent. So know your market, show the investors. We tend to be generalists, right? We're going to spread out across a lot of little components of technology and in the marketplace. Show us that you know it way better than we do, and make sure that you understand how to get your business to the customer, what regulations, if any regulations, apply to it. What are the main channels? Who are your competitors? Why your solution is better than the existing market? How much money are the customers in that market spending? Make sure you know all of that component of it. Don't let that slip by. And a lot of times when you're really in it, like most great startup founders are, you're really in it, you sort of forget that not everybody's on the same page with you. So make sure you go back and show us that, teach us that, make sure that we understand that your market is significant and that your solution fits it really, really well.
Yeah, man. And like, I know we get tired of telling our story, but this is the first time this person may be hearing your story. You got to tell the story, right?
That's right. Don't assume that we know at all, because a lot of times we just don't.
You got to tell this story, man. 1,000%. All right, man. This is great. Thanks everybody for the comments. I appreciate you. You can reach out to Miguel, Miguel.Granier at gener8tor.com. connect with him on LinkedIn, send him a LinkedIn connection request, a note with the connection request, more likely to accept that. Stay in touch with him. Ask him if you could add him to your update list, right? So he could, I don't know if he has time to read them all, but he might, right? You got to help him take these dots and create a line, right? And also, he did say they're looking to have people who want to stay and build here in Atlanta. So if you're someplace else, just know that if you're going to apply, they're going to be more likely to pick companies that want to stay here and build in Atlanta. That's just
And
FYI.
if you want to know why you should build in Atlanta, reach out to me as well. I'll be happy to tell you, because this city has.
Oh, what the heck happened? Oh, he got kicked out there. Wow, that was weird. Not sure what happened there, but sorry about that, everybody. He got bounced out. He may pop back in here in a second, but he was wrapping up. He was just simply saying that. Oh, here he goes. He's back in.
Sorry,
Hey, what happened, buddy?
I was
You
just
stealing your neighbor's
this
Wi-Fi?
city has incredible advantages. Internet connectivity might not always be one of them. No, it's good. So we have incredible advantages. Come to Atlanta, and if you have any questions on why you should build a startup here, or why it's the best place to build a startup here, just follow me on LinkedIn as well, because I put a lot of stuff out there about how incredible this environment is.
So good, so good. All right, I'm going to end the stream. If you can stand by for 2 seconds, Miguel. Yes. Yeah. All right, everybody, thank you so much. You can watch the replay here online. Tap in, join my Kabila community. Go to joinkabila.com. Check out our community. We're raising a venture fund here. Details that come about that. Super, super excited about that. Have a good day, everybody. See you next time. Stand by, Miguel. Later.
Thanks for having me.